What's up everyone, Alex here. If you're a Mega Man fan, then you probably heard of the Battle Network series. You know that it's an RPG. You know that it was released on the Game Boy Advance. But if you're like me, and I've never played the series, and I've only watched gameplay of it, you're probably thinking to yourself, how the heck does this play? In this video, I want to walk you through the fundamentals of its combat and customization, to give you a clear idea of what you might expect when you pick up the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. As stated, the Battle Network series of games is an RPG take on the Mega Man universe. In it, you play the role of Lan, a young techie who's got a knack for defeating viruses online. When you connect to appliances with internet access, you take control of a sentient AI avatar known as Mega Man, who you'll use to surf the online world's vast expanses. This eventually gets you entangled with malicious entities vying for world domination, and sure enough, you're the only one who can stop them. You'll achieve this by following a linear story that'll take you to various locales as you defeat various viri that infest these online worlds. Because these games are primarily GBA titles, you can expect Battle Network games to last for roughly 15 to 30 hours, depending on how meticulous you get with its customization system. Battles in Battle Network are random and can occur online at any location, regardless of whether or not there's other avatars present. Once in battle, you'll engage in a gameplay loop that revolves around choosing weapons and tools to place in your loadout, tackling enemies using your Mega Buster and the gadgets in your loadout in real time, and then calling up your loadouts again after the custom meter gets fully filled up. This repeats until you or your opponents are defeated. Now that's an overly simplified explanation of the combat, so let's dive deeper into what makes these battles interesting. The Battle Network games do not have a traditional experience point / leveling system. Instead, its battles all revolve around a system that feels like a deck builder, but much more simplified. For simplicity's sake, I'll be foregoing the use of in-game terminology in favor of more familiar terms. When you get into combat, you'll first encounter this loadout screen, where you'll see a list of weapons and tools, and a loadout plate where your chosen gadgets will go. The gadgets listed are randomized based off of an equipment deck that you can customize, much like how you'd customize what cards will be in your deck in a classic deck builder. I'll go over this in more detail later. Choosing gadgets to load out is governed by two important rules. The first rule is that you can only bring the same kinds of weapons or tools into battle. So, for example, if you have two cannons, you can include both weapons in your loadout. The second rule revolves around gadget types. These types are designated by a letter of the alphabet, and as long as the weapon or tool shares the same letter, you can include those in your loadout. So, for example, if you have an area grab and wide sword, which both have the letter L as its type, you can include both of them into your loadout. In short, your loadout can only contain either the same gadgets or gadgets that share the same type. As stated, there's two different types of gadgets: weapons and tools. Weapons deal damage to your enemies based on the rules described. The number shown is how much damage it will inflict if it hits your opponent. Tools, on the other hand, either heal or buff yourself or other gadgets, but also do crazy things like expand your range of movement. Combined together, you can do some awesome combinations, like expanding your range of movement and using a wide sword to hit the column of tiles immediately in front of you, defeating multiple enemies all at once. The order in which you select your gadgets is crucial because you won't be able to cycle through them during combat. They'll just be activated one after the other. So in the example I just made, you must select Area Grab first to expand your movement, then select Wide Sword to hit the enemies that are in front of you. If you don't like the gadgets displayed, there is a way to discard those unwanted items, which I'll go over shortly. But for the time being, Once you've selected your gadgets, just press OK, which will then take you to Battle Network's real-time combat. During this mode, you're free to move within the same colored square surrounding you, avoiding enemy attacks while inflicting damage through the use of your loadout weapons or your Mega Buster. Your gadgets are one-time use only, so you'll have to make them count. Your Mega Buster, on the other hand, has infinite bullets, though you'll only inflict 1 point of damage each time it hits. While all of this is happening, a custom meter will build up over time. And once that's filled up, you can bring up the loadout screen again and choose brand new weapons to use. Now, if you have gadgets displayed that you do not like, you can select them to discard and click Add. After doing so, you'll be thrown back into real-time combat, where you'll have to wait until the custom meter is filled up to see the newly added gadgets. What makes this battle system cool is the kinds of challenges you'll be facing. For instance, there are enemies that can crack one of your movement tiles, forcing them to break after you've stepped on them, limiting your movement. There are also enemies that can attack you in a variety of different attack patterns, making dodging a bit challenging. This blend of strategy through the use of your loadouts, mixed in with real-time action, creates an experience that's wholly unique to Battle Network, allowing both turn-based and real-time action fans to partake in some satisfying battles. Outside of battle, you'll be able to customize your equipment deck. This is what will determine what kinds of gadgets will appear during the loadout phase in combat. And depending on the game, you'll have different limits as to how many of the same type of gadget you can carry. This is so that the game is balanced throughout, since Battle Network doesn't have traditional experience or leveling requirements. You'll obtain these gadgets either through drops in battle, finding them in quote-unquote treasure chests online, or buying them through merchants. That said, there are ways to boost Mega Man's stats, but they're mostly integrated into the exploration of the world and not through combat. Later games also provide augments that further expand on these concepts, but I'll leave that for you to discover. All that said, I should point out that there are few key differences between the games and this Legacy Collection that you might want to know about. One difference is that Battle Network 2's loadout screen actually displays each gadget's type below their corresponding icon, allowing you to mix and match weapons quicker when compared to the first game. Also, Battle Network 1 does not allow you to run away from combat, unless that pops up as one of your gadgets. That said, Battle Networks 2 and onward have a dedicated run function. The Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection contains 10 games, but I should add that this is really 6 different titles, divided into 2 volumes that you'll both get in the collection. Battle Networks 3 to 6 have different variants, each with their own noteworthy differences. Battle Network 3 Blue, for example, has an extra boss and gives you more resources, while White requires more strategy. In terms of bells and whistles, this collection has a graphics filter that you can turn off if you want that sweet pixelated goodness, as well as a toggleable Mega Buster buff that increases its damage up to 100 for those folks who just want to experience the story in a simpler fashion. Though I will warn you that this kind of saps the fun in combat, as it makes encounters trivial. There's also ways to battle other players online, trade gadgets and looks, and so much more that really help connect you to other players playing the game. And of course, last and certainly not least, is a music player. Because regardless of what era of Mega Man you jumped into first, you know that the series has some incredible tracks, Battle Network included. And that is how Battle Network is played. Finally, after so many years of watching gameplay, we have a pretty good idea of how it plays now. And frankly, I've been enjoying my time with the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Let me know in the comments if you've been curious about how these games are played, and whether or not this is helping you pique your interest in this incredible collection. And if you're a longtime fan of this series, let us know some really cool things you've done in the games, and post it in the comments below so we can talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.